My hands were shaking when I saw the wedding pictures. My sister looked like a princess, smiling next to the man she said was perfect. But that smile, it wasn't real. 2 days later, a video went viral. Her groom was caught slapping her behind the venue, and suddenly, everyone wanted to know the truth. Before I continue, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. You won't believe what happened next. I'm Annie, the uninvited sister. My family said I was too dramatic to be around, that I'd ruin her big day. They didn't even send me an invite. My own mother said, "Annie, this day isn't about you. Stay out of it." So I stayed home, crying, humiliated, wondering what I did to deserve being cut off from my sister's happiness. But then, the internet exploded. The video had millions of views. It showed the groom, Eric, grabbing my sister Lily's wrist and yelling at her for talking to one of the guests. The next moment, he slapped her. People online were furious, and within hours, Lily deleted all her wedding posts. My phone buzzed nonstop. Relatives who ignored me suddenly wanted my opinion. My mom called me in tears, saying, "Annie, don't talk to anyone about this." But I couldn't stay silent anymore, because what they didn't know was that I already warned Lily about Eric months ago. And they all laughed at me, said I was jealous because I didn't have a man. But I had proof they never expected I'd kept, and when I walked into that family meeting they called to handle the scandal, every single one of them went quiet, because I brought something that would change everything they thought they knew about Lily's perfect marriage. The moment I entered my parents' living room, every eye turned toward me. Lily sat there, makeup smeared, hands trembling, her wedding ring gone. Mom looked at me like I was some outsider intruding on royal affairs. Dad sighed. "Annie, this isn't the time to say I told you so. I didn't even sit down." "No, Dad," I said calmly. "This is exactly the time." Mom tried to interrupt, but I pulled out my phone and played a voice note. The room went silent. Eric's voice filled the air, threatening Lily, telling her if she ever spoke to me again, he'd ruin her life. My sister gasped, covering her mouth. She whispered, "You recorded that?" "I did," I said, because I knew no one would believe me. Before I continue, make sure you're still watching, because what happened next shocked even me. Dad stood up, furious. "Why didn't you come to us earlier?" he demanded. I laughed bitterly. I did. "You told me to stop being jealous." Mom's face turned pale. She knew I was right. Then Lily broke down. "He said he'd hurt you if I told anyone," she cried. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about control. Eric had been manipulating her, isolating her, making her believe everyone, even her own sister, was the enemy. I looked around at my family, their guilt written all over their faces. "You all made me look like the villain," I said softly. But the real one was sitting right next to her. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Another notification from social media. The video had just hit 10 million views, but this time there was a new clip trending, one that I hadn't posted, and when I opened it, my heart stopped, because the person recording that second clip was someone I never expected to betray me. It was my best friend, Claire. The video showed her standing outside the wedding venue, recording as I argued with Lily days before the ceremony. In the clip, Claire's voice could be heard saying, "See, Annie always ruins everything." She posted it online, with the caption, "The jealous sister who tried to destroy the wedding." The internet turned on me instantly. Thousands of comments flooded in. "She's just bitter. Attention seeker. She probably leaked the slap video herself." I felt my throat tighten. I couldn't believe the same friend who cried with me when Lily got engaged had now sold me out for clout. I looked at Lily, tears stinging my eyes. "Did you know she filmed that?" She shook her head, sobbing. "I didn't even know she was at the rehearsal." Before I continue, don't blink, because what happened next changed everything. Dad's phone rang. He put it on speaker. It was Eric's lawyer. The man said, "Mr. Thompson, your daughter Annie might be in serious legal trouble for distributing defamation content." I froze. What? I didn't post anything. But Eric had twisted everything. He'd filed a lawsuit against me, claiming I leaked the slap video for personal revenge. Mom gasped, and for once, even she looked scared. I took a deep breath and said, "He wants a war? Fine." I turned my laptop around to show them an email I had saved, dated 6 months ago. It was from Eric, a message he sent me accidentally. It said, "Once I marry Lily, I'll have access to everything her family owns." Everyone went dead silent. My dad looked at Lily, disbelief in his eyes. "You mean he was after our money?" I nodded, and I can prove it. But just as I was about to open the next email, something unexpected happened. Lily's phone buzzed, and when she read the message, her face went white. She whispered, "He's outside." The room went cold. My mom's hand flew to her mouth, and Dad rushed to the window. There he was, Eric, standing in our driveway in that same expensive suit from the wedding, his tie loose, his eyes burning with rage. Lily whispered, "He said he'd come for me if I ever embarrassed him." Before I continue, make sure to share and subscribe, because what happened next turned our whole family's world upside down. Eric started banging on the door, shouting, "Lily, you ruined everything!" My dad yelled for him to leave, but Eric kept pounding, screaming that he'd take us all down. I grabbed my phone and hit record. "Eric," I said, loud enough for the camera to catch, "you need to leave. This is being recorded." He froze for a second, realizing what I was doing, then laughed darkly. "Of course you'd film this. You always wanted attention, Annie." The way he said my name, it sent chills down my spine, but I kept my phone steady. Then he shouted something that made my mom collapse into a chair. "Tell your parents the business deal they brag about? It's mine now. I took it months ago." My dad's jaw dropped. "What deal?" Eric smirked. "The investment Lily introduced me to? I convinced your partner to sell his shares, to me." I could feel the air leave the room. Our family's biggest source of income, gone. All because my sister trusted him. Lily screamed, "You used me!" Eric just smiled. "You all thought Annie was jealous. She was the only one who saw the truth." And before anyone could react, flashing lights filled the window, police cars pulling up outside. But the real twist, they weren't here for Eric. One of the officers looked straight at me and said, "Miss Annie Thompson, we have a warrant to bring you in for questioning." My whole body froze. The officer's voice echoed in the silence. "Miss Annie Thompson, you're under investigation for the viral video leak involving Mr. Eric Collins." Mom gasped. "No, this has to be a mistake." But the officers had already stepped inside, holding the paperwork. Eric smirked, standing behind them, pretending to look innocent. "I told you," he said smugly. "You wanted to play detective, Annie? Now face the consequences." I looked him dead in the eye. "You think you've won?" I whispered. They led me outside as neighbors gathered, whispering and recording. It felt humiliating, but deep down, I wasn't scared. I had been waiting for this moment. Before getting into the police car, I turned to the officer and said, "Check my email archives before you judge me. Everything you're looking for is there." He frowned but noted it down. I knew the truth would come out. It was just a matter of time. 3 days later, the internet flipped again. Eric's arrogance became his downfall. The police traced the upload location of the viral slap video, not to me, but to his own phone. He had uploaded it himself weeks earlier, planning to delete it later. But the server logs caught everything. His plan was to use the video as a sympathy trap, to paint himself as a misunderstood husband while suing me for attention. But he didn't count on one thing: my habit of saving every email, every message, every recording. When the truth hit the news, the entire internet turned against him. His sponsors, clients, even his own company dropped him overnight. Lily's lawyer filed for an immediate annulment and restraining order. And me? The same reporters who called me jealous started calling me the smart sister who saw everything coming. The next week, I got invited to a live interview. The host asked, "Annie, what made you record all those messages when everyone thought you were overreacting?" I smiled softly, because I knew someday the truth would need proof. And when it did, I wanted to make sure it couldn't be erased. The crowd applauded. Even Lily was there, holding my hand with tears in her eyes. She whispered, "I should have believed you." I looked at her and said, "You don't owe me sorry, Lil. You just owe yourself peace." Then came the part I hadn't told anyone yet, the final twist. The business deal Eric bragged about stealing? He didn't know that weeks before the wedding, I had quietly bought back the company's shares through a legal loophole. I wasn't just saving Lily. I was securing our family's entire future. So, while Eric sat in a courtroom facing charges, I was sitting across from my new lawyer, signing the papers that made me the majority owner. The girl they called jealous, dramatic, and poor was now holding everything he tried to take. As I walked out of that office, reporters called out my name. Cameras flashed. For the first time in my life, I didn't hide from them. I looked straight into the lens and said, "Never underestimate the quiet one. She's usually the one building the storm." And that night, when Lily came home to stay with us again, she hugged me tighter than ever before. "Thank you for saving me," she whispered. I smiled. "No, sis. You saved yourself the moment you stopped pretending everything was perfect. The same internet that once called me jealous now called me brave. But I didn't care about titles or fame. I cared that my sister was free, my family was safe, and the truth had won. Because sometimes, the one they leave out of the wedding ends up rewriting the whole story.